The lady from the church asked me to pray for her husband's soul. I said, "Of course. When did he die?" And she answered, "Tomorrow." No child should die alone. That's why I decided to let my son invite some friends over. Someone started having a coughing fit at my workplace. The problem is that I work alone in a morgue. Never knock on your door from the inside at dawn. The devil can knock on the outside. These macabre stories and others that can't be told on the channel, you'll see in the Cursed ebook. The link is in the comments. Buy it now. As you step into the dimly lit dental office, the flickering fluorescent lights cast eerie shadows on the walls. The receptionist, her eyes glinting with an unnerving calmness, hands you a crumpled sheet of paper. "Read the rules before you go in," she whispers, her voice almost drowned by the incessant hum of the fluorescent lights. You feel a shiver run down your spine as you take the paper. Its edges worn and stained. The sheet trembles in your hands as you unfold it, revealing cryptic instructions in an unsettlingly neat typeface. Rule number 1 reads, "Do not make eye contact with the assistant." You glance towards the doorway, where the assistant stands, her face obscured by a mask. A chill sweeps through you, and you wonder why such a simple rule is shrouded in such foreboding. You follow the instructions, carefully avoiding the assistant's gaze as you walk past her into the treatment room. The walls are lined with bizarre and ancient dental tools, their rusted surfaces hinting at a grim history. You can't shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong, but you push forward, trying to focus on the task at hand. The second rule catches your eye. Never question the procedures. A sense of dread settles over you. You recall tales of patients who questioned the methods and were never seen again. The thought of being part of such a story makes your heart race, and you mentally brace yourself for whatever may come. As you settle into the cold metal chair, a sense of impending doom looms. The ceiling above you is covered in a strange, pulsating glow that seems to shift and change color. The dentist, clad in an old-fashioned uniform, appears from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity. He doesn't say a word, only nods in acknowledgement. You notice the third rule. If you hear whispering, stay still. A cold sweat breaks out on your forehead. The hum of the equipment begins to merge with faint, unintelligible whispers, sending shivers down your spine. You force yourself to remain still, despite the growing urge to bolt from the room. The dentist's tools clink ominously as he prepares for the examination. The room's temperature seems to drop, and a frost starts to form on the edges of the equipment. Every movement he makes feels deliberate, as if he's meticulously orchestrating every sound and gesture to unnerve you. As the examination begins, you feel an unrelenting pressure in your mouth. The dentist's touch is unnervingly cold, and the sound of the drills echoes through the room like the cries of the damned. The fourth rule flashes in your mind. Pain is a sign of progress. You try to understand the rule's meaning, but the pain overwhelms your senses. The dentist's eyes lock on to yours through the small mirror he holds, and you remember the rule about eye contact. You try to avert your gaze, but his stare feels like an icy grip on your soul. The room seems to close in around you, and the whispers grow louder, more insistent. You're certain you saw a shadow move across the wall, but when you turn your head, nothing is there. The fifth rule warns, never look behind you. Panic rises within you as you realize you're breaking the rule, but you can't help yourself. The shadows seem to dance, mocking your fear. The sound of the drill intensifies, becoming a maddening roar. You feel as though you're being pulled into a nightmarish vortex, with the dentist's face morphing into grotesque, nightmarish shapes. The sixth rule looms in your mind. Trust the process. How can you trust a process that seems designed to torment? As you attempt to steady your breathing, you catch a glimpse of something strange in the corner of the room, an old, dusty mirror reflecting your terrified face. Rule 7 reads, do not look into the mirror. The reflection seems to mock you, and you struggle to tear your eyes away. The dentist's movements become more erratic, and you notice a dark stain spreading across his once sterile uniform. The eighth rule appears in your mind. When the stain spreads, the procedure is nearly complete. A sense of dread washes over you as you realize the true meaning of the rule. Something terrible is coming. A sudden, sharp pain jolts through your mouth, and you instinctively try to pull away. The dentist's grip tightens, and the whispers become a cacophony of disembodied voices chanting an incomprehensible hymn. The ninth rule warns, resistance is futile. You struggle to follow the rule, but the pain is unbearable. The room begins to distort, warping and twisting as though reality itself is unraveling. The 10th rule reads, if the room distorts, your time is running out, your heart races, and you can't tell what is real anymore. The distortions seem to consume everything, pulling you into a void of terror. You try to focus on the dentist's face, but it is shifting and changing, becoming a grotesque mask of malice. The 11th rule warns, do not trust the appearance of the dentist. Your mind struggles to grasp the shifting visage, but the terror of the unknown overwhelms you. The room fills with a rancid odor, and you catch a glimpse of something moving beneath the dentist's mask. Rule 12 warns, if the smell changes, the procedure has begun. The stench is suffocating, and you wonder what horrors lie behind the mask that now seems to be melting away. Your vision blurs, and you can't tell if the shadows around you are moving or if it's just your imagination. The 13th rule reads, if you can't see clearly, the end is near. Despair sets in as you realize you're reaching the point of no return. The pain in your mouth becomes an agonizing throbbing, a relentless pulse that drowns out all other sensations. The 14th rule warns, embrace the pain. It is a gift. You try to understand the meaning of this rule, but the agony makes it impossible to think clearly. You hear a door creak open behind you, and a chill runs down your spine. Rule 15 reads, do not turn around when you hear the door. The sound of footsteps approaches, each step echoing through the room like the ticking of a death clock. The room's temperature plummets further, and you can see your breath condensing in the frigid air. Rule 16 warns, when the cold sets in, the final stage is approaching. You can't escape the biting cold, and every breath feels like a gasp for life itself. The dentist's eyes burn with an unnatural fire as he peers into your mouth. The 17th rule flashes in your mind. When the eyes burn, the truth is revealed. You can't fathom what truth could be more terrifying than the nightmare you're already trapped in. You hear a distant, mournful wail that seems to emanate from the very walls of the room. Rule 18 reads, if you hear the wail, The end is inevitable. The wail grows louder, filling your ears with its chilling lament and confirming your worst fears. The pain intensifies to an unbearable crescendo, and you feel as though you're being pulled into a dark abyss. Rule 19 warns: if the pain becomes overwhelming, your fate is sealed. You cling to the hope that somehow you can escape, but the overwhelming agony suggests otherwise. The lights flicker erratically, casting grotesque shadows that twist and writhe on the walls. Rule 20 reads: if the lights flicker, the final moments are near. Each flicker seems to stretch time, elongating your suffering and heightening your terror. The dentist's tools begin to emit a low, resonant hum that vibrates through your bones. Rule 21 warns: when the hum reaches a crescendo, the procedure is complete. The hum grows louder, becoming a deafening roar that drowns out all other sounds. You see a shadowy figure moving in the corner of your vision, its form shifting and writhing. Rule 22 reads: if you see the shadow, you are not alone. The figure seems to draw closer, its presence a constant reminder of the malevolent forces at play. The dentist's face becomes a mask of twisted glee as he works on you. Rule 23 warns: if you see joy in the dentist's eyes, your suffering has only just begun. The sight of his glee sends a jolt of terror through you, knowing that this ordeal is far from over. You feel a sudden, intense cold seeping into your very bones. Rule 24 reads: when the cold reaches your bones, the end is imminent. The freezing sensation is all-encompassing, making you feel as though you're slipping into a frozen grave. A loud, metallic clang echoes through the room, followed by an eerie silence. Rule 25 warns: if you hear the clang, prepare for the final moments. The silence that follows is heavy, oppressive, and filled with a sense of dread as you await the final reckoning. The walls begin to close in, the room shrinking with each passing second. Rule 26 reads: if the walls close in, the procedure is nearing completion. The feeling of confinement adds to your terror, and you struggle to breathe as the space becomes increasingly claustrophobic. The whispers in the room grow louder, their words becoming more coherent and menacing. Rule 27 warns: if the whispers become clear, your soul is at risk. The whispers seem to be taunting you, and you can't escape their chilling message. The dentist's laughter fills the room, a cruel, mocking sound that reverberates through your skull. You notice the room's furnishings: an old, decrepit chair and cracked, yellow tiles. Rule 29 warns: if the surroundings decay, the end is near. The decay seems to spread, enveloping everything in a grotesque, nightmarish transformation. The dentist's hands move with an unnatural speed, a blur of motion that seems to defy reality. Rule 30 reads: if the dentist's movements are unnatural, time is slipping away. The rapidity of his actions only heightens your fear as you sense that time is running out. A sudden darkness falls over the room, the lights extinguishing one by one. Rule 31 warns: if darkness falls, the procedure is complete. The darkness is suffocating, and you're left in a void of terror, unable to see or comprehend what comes next. You feel a sharp, icy draft sweeping through the room, carrying with it a sense of finality. Rule 32 reads: when the draft arrives, prepare for the end. The cold draft is relentless, making you feel as though you're being pulled into an icy abyss. The dentist's face becomes a ghastly mask of despair as he looks at you. Rule 33 warns: If despair is visible, your fate is sealed. The expression on his face is haunting, reflecting the ultimate doom that awaits you. The walls of the room seem to dissolve into a nightmarish haze of swirling darkness. Rule 34 reads, if the walls dissolve, the procedure has reached its climax. The haziness blurs your vision, and you can no longer distinguish between reality and nightmare. The pain reaches an unbearable peak, a relentless, all-consuming agony. Rule 35 warns, when the pain peaks, your soul is forfeit. The excruciating pain feels like it's tearing your very essence apart, and you know there's no escaping it. A sudden, intense heat floods the room, contrasting sharply with the earlier cold. Rule 36 reads, if the heat arrives, the end is imminent. The heat is stifling, making it difficult to breathe as you feel yourself approaching the final moments. The dentist's tools begin to glow with a malevolent light, casting eerie reflections on the walls. Rule 37 warns, if the tools glow, the procedure is concluding. The glowing tools seem to hold a dark power, intensifying your fear as the end draws near. The room is filled with an unbearable silence, a void where no sound can be heard. Rule 38 reads, if silence prevails, the final stage is at hand. The silence is oppressive, making you feel as though you're suspended in a state of eternal dread. You feel a profound sense of déjà vu, as if you've been through this torment before. Rule 39 warns, if déjà vu strikes, you are trapped in a cycle. The sensation of familiarity only deepens your terror, knowing that escape might be impossible. The dentist's face distorts into a grotesque grin as he completes his work. Rule 40 reads, if the grin appears, the procedure is over. The grin is a horrifying sight, marking the end of your ordeal with an unsettling sense of finality. The room begins to crumble and decay, the very structure falling apart around you. Rule 41 warns, if the room crumbles, the end is imminent. The destruction of the room mirrors the collapse of your hope, and you brace yourself for the final blow. You hear the sound of chains rattling, as if something is being restrained. Rule 42 reads, if chains rattle, the final fate is being sealed. The rattling chains are a grim reminder of the fate that awaits you. Adding to your terror, a chilling, spectral figure appears in the corner of the room, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. Rule 43 warns, if the figure appears, the procedure is complete. The sight of the figure sends a wave of dread through you, knowing that the end is near. The air grows heavy with an oppressive, suffocating atmosphere. Rule 44 reads, if the air becomes heavy, prepare for the final moments. The atmosphere feels like a shroud, enveloping you in an inescapable sense of doom. As the last vestiges of light fade away, you're left in complete darkness, the final rule echoing in your mind. When darkness falls, the procedure is finished. The darkness is absolute, and you're left alone with your fear, knowing that the end has come. Until next time, thank you.